And we're back in real time. So this was in the 150s before I added the sugar. I added the sugars and started stirring it. Saw it drop down to like 135 or so. Took about 5 minutes of cooking during time lapse. Okay, that we are back to what we say is a good, true, hard boil. Okay, there are bubbles coming up everywhere. It could be spitting on you, so keep your distance. No matter how much I stir it, we still see bubbles. All right, this is now gonna go for a minute's time. So I got a timer set behind me. This might be definitely over 200, should be over 200. Getting in the teens. Okay, 212 is the boiling point of water. I'm getting a 217. Okay, and I'm gonna put the spoon into a bowl so I don't make a mess. Go get my plate. All right, so it has been a minute that this has been boiling. Okay, after it recovered its hard boil, the addition of sugar, I'm gonna go ahead and slide that off so it does not continue to cook, and set myself up with my cold plate test, which means I have my plate that's been in the freezer for at least a good 30 minutes. I'm not using a full ladle, just an amount that's not even a tablespoon. Okay, and I can tell from experience the fact that this puddles up the way it does that we're on good shape. I'm gonna go ahead and let it sit for about a minute, okay, while I get other things situated. So we want to work on the stainless steel table here. Okay, so we can take our pot, our stock pot that has all of the jars closer so they don't drip so much. If we didn't mention before, sorry, that the pan, okay, once this started to come to a low simmer, I got those on so they didn't get too hot. So my bands and my lids are there. Okay, so that's a burner that I don't need anymore, as that is. And then remember that it's important, I've got a tea kettle in the back, okay, in case my water gets too low, okay, which it's not. This is not evaporated out. All right, I've got my tongs to get our jars out. We have all 5. So let's tilt this up so you guys can see for safety. Okay, that we need to respect gravity. In that I pick this up, I can pour it gentle out carefully in such a way that water does not run down the tongs in my hand. That's gonna leave a mark. Okay, so pour those out. You can get all 5 of them out. Your jam or jelly is not gonna solidify in the pan while you're doing this, but we want all those on the countertop so they're ready to go. Again, I like the tongs for taking the jars out more than the jar grabbers. Jar grabbers come into effect later. And getting these out and situated gave us time for jam and jelly, our cold plate to set up. All right, so on the cold plate test, run that finger through. Okay, they stay separated, they don't come back together. I know that that is a good set. So, that's a good thing, it's a good set because I already got my jars out. So let's get ready to do the filling. Let's come down to here so you guys can see. All right, so these are warm, very warm. We've got our funnel. And remember that we have a gapper here. We're gonna fill this up to this top edge, a 1/4 inch from the top. All right, so what you need to appreciate is that when this goes in, the funnel goes down, it displaces some product. So if you fill this up to the top and you pull it out, it's gonna change the amount, okay? Because that funnel's inside. So do your best to not spill. You get this situated. Okay, and again, this is a 3-ounce ladle, so there's 3. There's 6. Another 3 would be too much, so I'm going a little bit below that. And then actually after 6, I will pull this up to let it hover. Okay, so I don't want that to block the view, but I pull it up to let it hover to try to see how much we need there. Okay, and it's going to be not much from the top. All right, let's put this back in, let's see. So this is a 1/4 inch. Okay, it's not quite touching the top. You could be a little bit higher than that, 1/8 of an inch. So I generally tend to fill these pretty close and go around and top them all off. Okay, but I just don't want this going into the jam because it can make a big old mess. Now, it's good for us just to have a simple plastic spoon. Now, if it was a little too full and I need to take some out, I could do that. And if I needed to add a little bit more, I could do that as well. Okay, so put that in your little bowl that's not getting stuff messy. Here's where we've got to be very aware of what we're doing. Because when we take these lids out, this may come out of the screw bands, boiling hot water, but they cool off very quickly. That these tops, we only have one. Sometimes these get stuck 2 together. When you pull them out, like this, and then you put them on like that, and then your short ones, so make sure they're individual. But before those go on, you have that clean towel. Okay, 2 of them. Okay, rinse with cold water. 1, because the jar is going to be hot, so this can kind of help you hold it so it doesn't burn your hands. And then this other one, you're going to take, and with an edge that's clean, okay, so we're only using these rags for this process, is I'm going to clean the top by wiping it around so I get a good seal of the rubber, okay? And I'm also going to make sure that I clean these threads on the side so that no product is going to get between the glass and that metal screw band. Nice and clean, and when it's like that, I will take one stuck together. Come on now. We got sealed together with the water. There we go. Take one of those, put this on, and just close it like hand tight. Okay, not cranking it down super high. So that one's done. So I'm gonna fill up the rest of these, top them all off. Okay, and then we'll talk about getting them back into the boiling bath. All right, so we'll do this probably in sped up, not time lapse at super fast, but a little bit quicker process then. All right, so we've got 4 more jars filled, almost to the top. I'm running pretty low on product, so I'm hoping that we can get all 5 filled. I'll start doing that hovering to get within the 1/4 inch. Again, when I put that in, it's going to start making the level go up. Here's another one, and my spatula can come in handy. So having a spatula around can come in handy, and perhaps another set of hands, which I don't have working solo. But it looks like it's definitely easily enough for 4, maybe 5 perfect amount, but you might lose a little product, so probably have another little pan going to make sure everyone can top off their fifth jar. So let's see. Yep, I think that's pretty good. So again, it's this quarter is just touching the top. It's just touching the top. It's just touching the top. That one's a little bit short. Okay, but maybe if I scrape that out, that last little bit, we'll have enough. And if when you're doing this, you see major chunks of fruit, it is too late to blend it now. Just probably pull it out with tongs, set it off to the side. We'll go from there. So remember now the process of cleaning these systematically. This one's so dirty for me cleaning up the table, I'm going to transfer to the other towel. And I'll clean these up in a little bit faster time. So I don't have to necessarily put the lid on immediately, so long as I'm systematic about cleaning the tops and the threads. Make sure I didn't miss one. These are still pretty hot, so the towel helps protect my hand. Again, it's important that you clean these threads really, really well. Do your best, obviously, to not spill on them. It's going to happen. I made many, many batches of jams and jellies over the year, and I still had a little bit of spillage. It's important that you clean it off so that the screw band does not get stuck on it. All right, so doesn't matter if these have been sitting out for a little while. Okay, if that one was sitting out, I could put it back in just to get re-softened, but it's one per jar. Then all the screw bands going in on top, and then we'll show you how to load these into the canner. So again, put these on pretty snug, but not ridiculously tight that they couldn't get unscrewed. I can come around and give you a second opinion on that. All right, these are 5 fig jams, okay? And they would be fine to cool down and hang out in the fridge, but we're actually gonna go ahead and process these. We're gonna put these in. They have mass in them, they're starting to cool down, recover or boil, and then boil them for 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes timer is really more of just sealing this lid. So I mean, right now this thing would come off. I just made a mess. That probably wasn't such a good idea. It would easily come off, but the 10 minutes boiling time is going to help the lid get sealed to the jar. So I don't recommend that you open these up again. All right, so if you just made jam or jelly like this, you can do what we call refrigerator jam or jelly. We're going like Tupperware, this jar, cool down, go in the fridge and hang out for however many weeks it takes you to eat it. Otherwise, we put this in, boil it for 10 minutes, it'll seal it. When this comes out and cools down, you can leave this on the shelf for like up to a year. Crazy, right? So let's go back to our pot here, talk about how these actually now come into play. Remember that we've got the metal on the bottom, so these don't rattle around. And we're just gonna come and just load these in gentle, set them upright. Okay, the water right now is about up to here. We got to make sure that as we put these in, the water is above by a good inch. The water level is going to go up as these go in because now they have product in it as compared to when they were empty. And if you're short on water, there should be boiling water that tops it off, only if you need it. Okay, if you have the other pot style we talked about here that is not full of water, then you would want to load these up diagonal before you lower that down. Otherwise, see, they may collapse on you. Okay, so we only have a couple of these, kind of transitioning out of them, but we'll get these in. And again, once these go in, it's got to come back to a boil. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lid you could put on to speed up the process, but then you wouldn't know when it came to a boil. You're going to have some cleanup to do anyway. You do your cleanup while you're waiting for this to come to a boil. And we start a 10-minute timer. All right, so those are in. Start a timer once they come back to a boil.